Well, if it isn't Monday night, it's been a heck of a week since the last time we hung out and drank beer together. But what's my mic doing all the way up there? That's a bit better. But here we are. Here we are. Monday night. It's the Toronto Beer Podcast with me, your host, Chris Schreier. Just sitting here, finishing a beer, as is often the case. Having a dab tonight. My go-to cold yellow beer. Bang for your buck. $2.30 a can. Man, you almost can't buy soda for that price. And this is beer. And it's pretty good beer. I enjoy it. Let me just I'm just going to finish it here. One sec. Nope, not quite. That got it. Don't worry. That got it. Set it on that pile of empties I have over there. Got to clean my office. I was a busy boy this weekend. Remember what I talked about at the end of the last episode? I made it happen. I'm looking at the evidence of it right now. But we'll deal with that later. Because tonight, I got an exciting one. I was in the LCBO there on the weekend. I did not make my normal Godspeed order this week. I just thought, let's switch things up a little. Walked into my local LC and picked up a whack of beer, and then that was on Friday, and then I did that again on Saturday. And actually, come to think of it, the first one might have been the grocery store. I think I did grocery store on Friday, LCBO on Saturday, but who cares? The point is, we live in a golden age for access to beer. And, one of the things that COVID did do was it really opened that sort of thing up. So did a lot of negative, but it's done a lot of good things for our access to beer in this here fine city, in this here fine province. Anyway, all that's to say, saw this guy and I thought, let's have a crack. This is Rouge River Holy Trinity Hazy IPA. Holy Trinity, that sounds like a good beer. Now, I will tell you this. Have I had Rouge River before? Yeah, a small number of times. I have a feeling like one time they had a tent at a Wolfpack game. Maybe. But actually, the first time I had them, I saw their can of beer. It was an IPA. It wasn't the hazy IPA. I think it was called something else. I just grabbed one on a lark, and I grabbed a couple of beers at the time. I'm assuming this was at an LCBO. This was some time ago, many years now. I'd never even heard of Rouge River Brewing, knew nothing about them. But I grabbed it with some others. As I recall, the others ranged from mediocre to actually I had to pour them out. These were from different breweries. But the one IPA that I'd grabbed that was Rouge River, I was very pleased with. It was a very delicious beer. So I do have high hopes for this one. What do I know about Rouge River? Still not a whole lot. I think they're a contract brewery, but I could be wrong about that. When I look at the can after I've had a sip, I'm going to see if I can ascertain that, because often you can tell. It'll say somewhere. And I, of course, am not against a contract brewery. Some of the finest, well, that's not entirely true, but there are some very fine contract brewers out there. And if they're making good use of somebody else's space, I say go for it. Sorry, I've just found a little dry bit of skin on my thumb. And I'm really, I don't know. I need to leave it alone. I'm such a little, I pick at things. It's not good. Gotta not do that. Be a grown-up, Chris. Okay, let's drink a beer. That'll distract me. Like I said, Rouge River Brewing Company, Holy Trinity Hazy IPA. Now, I do notice, just looking at the front of the label, I'm not reading anything, it does say Markham, Ontario, and I don't know Markham very well. It's very possible that there's a bricks and mortar brewery up there, and I've just missed it. Which, hey, that's on me, guys, if that's the case. Oh, pour this. That is a hazy. Oh, golly, yeah. I like what I'm seeing here. This looks like white grapefruit juice. It is hazy AF, as the kids post on the socials. Oh, and I think maybe it's just, it might just be that I have a suggestible mind, but I immediately smelled some white grapefruit there. So let's Let's see here. Oh, sorry, I've just gotten an email that I really want to read, but I'm not going to, guys. I'm not going to. But it's about rugby. Sorry, here. Back on track. Back on track. It's too early to talk about rugby, at least in this app. Yeah, so actually, some white grapefruit, maybe some orange. Yeah, citrusy for sure. Could say maybe tangerine or let me have another sniff. Yeah, yeah, tangerine and white grapefruit maybe, and grapes, white grapes. Hey, Kevin, welcome aboard. Not quite vinous though. It's not a vinous grapey note. It's grapes. It smells like grapes. A bit, just very small. And like maybe pineapple. Little hard to say. That one's a little bit more obscure. It's very fruity, as you would expect with a hazy IPA. Not really getting a ton of malt on the nose. Anyway, I think it's time to have a sip. Here I go. White grapefruit, big time. Oh, hang on. Sorry. Really got to leave that thumb alone. Wow. Not what I was expecting, but not bad. They do just call it a hazy IPA. This is not a New England IPA. This is really interesting. I want one more sip. Visually and on the aroma, this is not what I was expecting. A lot of white grapefruit, pine or evergreeny, very bitter. Not like quite bone shaker levels of bitter, but bitter for sure. Oh, hey, Crafty J 767. Very bitter. This isn't just late hops. Was it just last week I said, if you think you don't like IPAs because you don't like bitter beers, try this beer because it's not bitter, it's just aromatic. This one today, Holy Trinity from Hazy IPA from Rouge River. If you don't like bitter beer, you're not going to like this. It's bitter. White grapefruit, evergreen, earthy. Not really getting any grape anymore. Maybe some strawberry though. Like strawberry tops, bitter red, but also green and leafy. Yeah, definitely, actually. A lot of perceived residual bitterness on my cheeks. Interestingly, on the nose, I thought it was going to be a little bit like, shoot, was it just last week? What did we do last week? There's ways I can check this, but I'm going to. I was going to say I'm not going to. But then again, it's not that hard. If I just go to my tracks, it was working hard, New England IPA. That's right. Okay, good. So, working hard, New England IPA. No residual bitterness. But remember, we talked about how there was an almost tartness from the hops. I thought, based on the aroma, that I was going to get that with this beer. I did not. This beer is bitter, and there are citrusy notes, but there's not any of that perceived tartness, at least not that I'm picking up personally. Resiny, you might even say, this beer. But visually, it is, as I say, I mean, if you're looking at the video, that's white grapefruit juice levels of opaque. It is opaque. Like, even the very corners of the glass are completely opaque. It's not chunky that I can see, but it's opaque. I don't know what you want to hear here. Hazy doesn't even come close. This ain't hazy. This is fully fogged over, in a very good way. But what's interesting is visually when you see this, if you're like me, you immediately think New England IPA, which shouldn't have anywhere near this level of perceived bitterness. This has a ton. It's not bad. It doesn't call itself a New England IPA either, or to say that another way, the people at Rouge River have not said that that's what this is, which is good because that would be a very generous assessment of the style. It's sort of, you might call it an East Coast, or you could just call it sort of a New World IPA. It's almost got the hopping level of a West Coast IPA, but with the visual appearance, the mouthfeel. I haven't mentioned this yet, but it's quite creamy in the mouth, and the aromatics of a New England, but with like a West Coast level of early hopping. Or maybe not quite that much, but it's, I think the thing is when you're mentally and you've prepared your palate thinking it's not going to be particularly bitter. I'm terrible at this sort of stuff, but if I guessed, this is probably 50-ish IBU. Like it's solidly bitter, in a nice way. I'm not complaining. I was just very surprised. Yeah, super creamy mouthfeel. I would almost say like a gentle carbonation to it. And then, yeah, just this surprising bitterness, which is quite nice. The bitterness is very much resiny. It's the bitterness is all evergreen and grapefruit peel. Not sticky. I'm just rubbing my tongue on my teeth. No, not sticky, but bitter to be sure. Huh, that's something. And I already know what you're going to eat with this. Mm-hmm. Yeah, if you've listened to this podcast more than a few times, here we are going back to spicy. Remember last week I said, hey, this isn't one that necessarily needs to be paired with anything. This doesn't need to be paired with anything either, but it's going to work really well with spicy. And so spicy in terms of chili and heat, like picante. Also, it would be nice if there were some spices. Do you see where I'm going right now? We're going down the jerk route, chicken or fish, whatever you prefer. But the I guess you'd say fruitiness of the Scotch bonnet peppers, pardon me, with a ton of heat and spice covered spicing, allspice, black pepper. What else goes in a good jerk sauce? My brain's not with me right now. Anyway, the point is some nice spices, because this has got a ton of citrus. You don't need to play that up at all. I'm not going to tell you to have like a citrus glazed piece of meat or fish or something here. What we're going to do is turn up the heat, basically, because this beer will definitely keep up with that. And then you just want to choose something that's going to work well with the existing citrus in the beer, which a jerk sauce would do really well. Similarly, a notably spicy, especially green Thai curry could work really well here. Thai curry is pretty creamy, and it's a kind of creamy beer. The bitterness would work well with the heat, but there isn't necessarily a ton of acidity to cut that creaminess. So I'm not saying don't do it. I'm just, maybe that's not my top pick. I'm still leaning towards jerked fish or chicken, if you like. Go easy on the barbecue on that. Doesn't need to be particularly smoky in this case. It's fine if it is, but the smoke from the barbecue isn't going to help anything at all. Won't hinder it, but it's not going to be adding any elevation aside from itself. I mean, smoke and cooked meat, that's not a bad thing. Oh, hey, babe. That's weird. I wouldn't have thought story time was anyway. Wife just joined us. This is very interesting. It's almost got a little heat to it, like boozy heat. As I'm spending a bit of time with him, maybe not. Maybe that was a bit of an aftertaste. Let's go to the can. Well, it is 6.8% alcohol. I'm getting a malty quality here. Now that you remember we were talking last time, sometimes it can take a while for your brain to pull all the different parts of out. There's a malty quality here. It might be crystally malty. Not in a bad way. No, that's not crystal malt, but there is a malt sweetness, which is nice. It's interesting. It takes a minute to find. What does the can have to say for itself? Well, not a lot. Oh, they do seem to, yeah, they have, oh, wow. They're in Unit 850 Bullock Drive, Markham. We took our first dog as a couple, Boston, our beagle, to obedience at a place on Bullock Drive up in Markham. Seems like a long way to go, but it was worth it. They were really good at what they did. What does this beer contain? Water, malted barley, wheat, oats. I meant to say oats, hops, and yeast. Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, the murkiness of it definitely says at least wheat and probably oats, and they say both, which I believe. I don't get a ton of wheat character off of it, which, to be fair, could be because it's aggressively hopped. It's quite nice. Yeah, just be ready. This is a bitter beer. It's not a New England IPA. It's something different. Really nice. But yeah, you like me might be fooled by the initial impressions. Really tasty beer, and good for Rouge River. Maybe you got to get up to Markham sometime. Swing by that brewery. Got to expect they've probably got a tap room. I don't know. I literally know nothing about them. It's kind of nice when I'm totally cold like this. Pardon me, burped again. That's what we're doing. Rouge River, Holy Trinity, Hazy IPA. As noted, bought that at the LCBO. Nice work. Seems to have in the label, what is this, like the Holy Grail print? Holy Grails? Many Holy Grails, multiple. Maybe all of them are fake except one. There's a challenge to find it. That'd be fun. One of these things is not like the others. No, they all look the same to me. I digress. Tasty beer. Pick it up at the LCBO or up in Markham on Bullock Drive. I assume. I can't confirm that or deny that, but I think so. And yeah, tasty beer, Rouge River. Nicely done. Oh, hey, Ben Johnson. So yeah, what did we learn? Much more bitter than expected. Nicely aromatic. Lots of citrus. Tasty beer. But yeah, resiny for sure. I mean, I really like that. I had some Bone Shaker this past weekend. I miss big, stupid, aggressively hoppy beers sometimes. This one isn't maybe quite that level, as I said, but it's pretty aggressive. So that's something. So, hey, what else we got going down? Well, I actually have notes now. Can tell you. Actually, I can just show you. Do you know what this is right here if you're watching the video? This is the first printed version on not great paper, if I'm honest, of the zine that I told you all about last week. Spent Grains zine. And I do have some events listed on the back. The one I think I'll draw attention to, actually, let's go with two. Coming up, Sawdust City, if you're up in Gravenhurst on Saturday, November the 24th. I am excited about this one. I'm not going, but it sounds like a great event. From 6 p.m. onwards, they one of their brewers, I believe, is he's making pizzas, and then they're selling them in the saloon, they call it. Proceeds going to Crafting a Cure, which is a charitable effort for the Juvenile Diabetes Foundation of Canada. So if you are in the Muskoka area, especially Gravenhurst or Bracebridge, which isn't that far, if you're in that part of the world on Saturday, November the 24th, 6 p.m. onwards, my understanding is he's going to make pies till he's out of ingredients. So go on by, grab yourself a pie, and know that you're helping to support the Juvenile Diabetes Foundation of Canada. Very good cause, that. The other thing I am going to mention quite a bit later, you'll probably hear about this one again, on December the 18th, Indie Ale House is hosting Stout Night. They have 2 windows of time you can attend. That would be from noon until 4 p.m. or from 5 until 9 p.m. As noted, December the 18th, Indie Ale House. And I believe, if I recall, that's taking place at their like production facility, their warehousey facility, not at the bar, but I could be wrong about that. The best thing to do would be to look it up. You can just Google Indie Ale House, look them up on Instagram. That's how I like to find out things. And check. I know tickets are for sale. It's a ticketed event. You will need to have a ticket, I am assuming, prove double vaccination, and otherwise go have a great time. Not just their stouts, of course. I saw the list and it was lengthy. Many local breweries have contributed stouts for that night, and it should be a really, really good time. Oh, Ben's asking, where do people find this zine? He missed that part. Toronto Breweries, I presume. Ben, I'm glad you set me up with that lob. You can write for the zine anytime you want to. I'm just going to have a sip of beer. I'm going to tell you. I'm going to keep you hanging. That's a nice beer. Where do you get the zine? Good question. Look up at Spent Grains Zine. All one word. That is SPENTGRAINSZINE on Instagram. And link in the bio, there's a link tree. You can download a digital copy, PDF, they're both PDFs, digital copy, easy to read on your screen, or easy-ish. It's still a zine. It looks like it was made on a Xerox. That was on purpose. I used ridiculously arcane methods to put this together. Not limited, but including a Yoo-hoo glue stick. So you can get that there. You can also download the print spreads, is the technical term. Now, what is that? Well, that's what I'm holding right here when you have it. And so it prints the pages in the proper order to then be folded in half. Tabloid style is actually the name of that fold. Would you believe it? Not a tabloid. I mean, it is technically a tabloid, but not in the sense that you think I said. Just in the sense that I said, not that you think I said. That was a little Chevy Chase. You can grab the print spreads. This zine was designed by a person who has some experience in the world of printmaking, but with toner and paper conservation as a founding principle, mainly because my hope is if you are a bar or a brewery or just a beer adjacent thing, maybe you run a cool new bottle shop on Roncesvalles, I would be very happy and very thankful if you were to take the print spread, set your printer to double-sided printing, assuming it can do that. Most can these days. Feel free to click the preserve ink or whatever you want. It's, as I say, pretty ropey quality to begin with. It's not going to be made worse by that. And then print them out, fold them, much as I have done here, and just leave them someplace that somebody can pick up. You will note, I've suggested if people want to take the copy, they give you $1. I'm not telling you need to put a SKU on your till. I'm hoping they'll just give you $1 if they're going to take it. Also, this one was an early, actually, edition. This is like 0.2, not 1.0. But there's typically a QR code on the paper one that people can scan and then read it digitally on their phone. So they could leave it behind. Interesting stuff, though. What have we got in this week's, or month's, pardon me, let's not get crazy, month's issue. Well, we got the Beer Dog of the Month. Hey, do you have a beer dog that you want featured in Spent Grains? Look up at Spent Grains Zine on Instagram. Let me know. Got a review of Svetly Letsak 12 from Godspeed, my boyfriend. Got an article about bottles and cans and which one's better. Spoiler alert, it's bottles. I made a comic. I actually drew it with my own two hands. Makes fun of hipsters, of which I am one. Better know a brewer. This month we interviewed Aaron Broadfoot from Little Beasts. Is it literally just the screen grabs of a text conversation we had, printed, pasted, and reprinted? Yeah, that's exactly what it is. Is the type just slightly too small? Yeah, that was my bad. It's still readable, but you want to make sure you've got ample light. Hey, how about this? This is something you haven't seen too often. It's called Sounds Good to Me. And instead of pairing a beer with food, I've paired it with music. There's a 4-song playlist and another QR code. I've made liberal use of QR codes in this, where you can download that playlist on Spotify. And the suggested beer pairing is the Best Bitter Special from Granite Brewery. Love that. Got some horoscopes. Yeah, I wrote those with my own two hands. And actually, Aaron Broadfoot wrote one of them, her own. I won't tell you which. See if you can figure it out. Got some pub trivia in the back. Cool little game called Inside Out, where I've listed the nutritional information for an item in my refrigerator, and you have to tell me what it is. That's fun. Some news bulletins, and then as noted, some events right here on the back. Great little zine. I mean, I think so because I made it. But check it out. Spent Grains Zine on Insta. You can download your copies there. I've also put it out on Facebook and some other places. Thinking about maybe making an email distribution list, but do people still care about that? I feel like every brewery's got a newsletter these days, so maybe. But most importantly, if you're listening to this, and if you run a bar or a brewery or a beer adjacent venture, I honestly would be very pleased and tickled and thankful if you were willing to print out a copy or two and include it at your local whatever it is you do. I suggest, by the way, print it out and leave it in the bathroom on the back of a toilet, because I think that's people need reading material. You know, the thing is, everybody, as soon as they go to the bathroom, they've already got their phone out. But think of that. You can handle something that 10 other people have handled. And, you know, just make sure you wash your hands when you're done. Everything will be fine. And as noted, feel free to take it with you. Just ink and paper are cheap, but they're not free. So if you're going to take it from a brewery or a bar, maybe offer a little offset there to keep it, or alternatively just print it out for yourself. Anybody can download it. So that's where we're at. We had some comments fly through here. Ben says, loves this grassroots DIY dirty little paper. Yeah, I'm not going to repeat that because I don't like getting an E on my my podcast, but duly noted. Who needs email? Pfft, silly. And thanks, Kevin. So that's what we're doing. There will be a December edition because I can't tell you how much fun I had making this. It was a lot of work. It's going to be less next time because a lot of it was getting my templates and stuff laid out. As noted, it is a multi-step process. This is how ridiculous it is. All of the type in it are text blocks in Photoshop. And then I print out full pages, and then I cut the pages out, and I glue those to blank pages, and then I scan them back in. It's totally unnecessary, but it does add to the DIY look of the paper. And I'm nothing if not a absolutely frustrating hipster who would go to that sort of lengths to make it look like a good old zine. So that's what we're doing. So yeah, what did we learn? If you've got a beer dog you want featured in the zine, get at me. Everything, it's going to be at Spent Grain Zine on Insta. So hit me up there. If you've got any news or events, same. If you think you've got a beer you want me to to review, etc., let me know. I'm not looking for freebies right now. Our distribution is still very small, but I'm very happy to go pick up a beer and do it on somebody's recommendation. And yeah, if you want to contribute, send me a message. Tell me what you're thinking. I might say yes. I might say no. Who knows? I'm very open. Kevin says he's going to let Kevin at Block 3 know. Kevin at Block 3 has already printed some out and put them at Block 3. So you can pick up your copy of Spent Grain Zine at Block 3, but please give them $1 per copy. Again, ink and paper. It's not free. Also, if you see one, or if you yourself have printed one out and left it, go ahead and take a photo of it and tag me in it. That would really make my day. And this really is just a bit of an ego boost for me at this point. So let's boost it. It's there to be boosted. Anyway, that's what I've been up to. Busy weekend getting that out, but gosh, I'm happy I did now. And I'm pleased with all this talk about it. Makes me feel all warm inside. I'm going to have another sip of this beer. This beer, what was it? Just to remind you, Holy Trinity Hazy IPA from Rouge River. Do not be fooled, not a New England IPA. Assertively bitterer than I was expecting, but really nice. Really nice. Really leaning into the evergreen side of things as it's warming a little bit. So that's something. I like that. Yeah, that's good. Well, I'm going to shut it down for the night. I hope you have a good night. Have a good week. I always like a PSA. I'm going to really quickly do a PSA. I was reminded today on, I don't know, some social media. I saw one of those posts. It seemed on the face of it to be a really good, intelligent post, but there's a small problem with it, which I'll cover. First of all, what was the post? It was a thing talking about, hey, this is the time of year when people are all given to food banks, which is a good thing. And it was saying, hey, these are some things that you don't realize about food banks. So like everybody gives craft dinner, but nobody gives milk, and you need milk to make craft dinner. Nobody ever gives like cooking oil, which is like, you kind of need that for pretty much everything. They're like, hey, if you give hamburger helper, you still need hamburger to make that. That's not an easy thing to come by. Some tips like that. Also, like, remember, menstrual products for people who menstruate, diapers, you can give those to food banks. Those are necessary too. Again, on the face of it, that's a cool post, right? But there's one fatal error to it, and it's this. People need to stop giving food and products to food banks. And I know that you might be thinking, that doesn't sound right. Chris, you seem to be in support of food banks, but yet you're telling us not to give food to food banks? Shouldn't I show up to my local seasonal event with my little cans of beans and, I don't know, corn or whatever, and I put it in the box? No, don't. Stop doing that. For the love of God, stop giving food banks food. Give them money. Okay? Let me explain to you why. For one, as noted in that list, people tend to give things that aren't necessarily the most useful things for food banks. Again, a box of hamburger helper does nobody any good if they don't also have hamburger. And nobody's given them hamburger because that's perishable, and you have to give non-perishable items. So the food bank knows best what the people who they support need. Maybe in this neighborhood, there's a significant number of people who only eat halal, and in which case they need pretty specific foods, which you may or may not be providing. Trust that the food bank knows what the people they serve need and let them make those decisions. Why else? When they have a box full of random crap that tons of different people have thrown in, they need to have staff go through and sort that and shelve it and figure out how to disperse that in the best way possible. And it takes up a lot of time and energy, like a lot. If you just let them buy the things they need, there's way less sorting, way less stacking. They just bring it in and distribute it, and it's easy. Furthermore, do you think that, like, say, the Daily Bread Food Bank is going to go to Loblaws and pay retail for baked beans and canned corn and Hereford beef or whatever? No, of course not. Those grocery stores want to give them as much stuff as they can because it's a tax write-off. So they will give them way better than market prices, and in many cases, free stuff. But even when they're not paying retail, which you are. So if you spend $5 on canned and boxed items and give it to the food bank, instead of just giving them the $5, you're probably getting like at least 50% less than what they would have gotten if you'd just given them the money and let them buy it. It's so simple. The other thing is, you don't even have to think, oh, I would have bought $5 worth of that. Just give them $5. It's easier. It's easier on you. It's easier on them. And it's better for the people they serve. Stop giving food banks food. Let them buy the food themselves. Just give them the money to do it. And in fact, because I just saved you time and energy, if you were going to give them $5, give them $7, because I saved you $2 worth of time. Okay. That's what you need to do. Stop giving food banks food. The only person that serves is you and your sense of having done something, because you physically got some things, you physically took them to a box, and you physically put them in, and you got to think, hey, I did a good thing. A better thing would be to just give them money. They want it. They don't want your boxes of Hamburger Helper. Just give them money. Okay? That's the PSA for tonight. Stop giving food banks food. Give them money. It's way more useful. Way better for everybody. Anyway, that's my soapbox. Hey, if you do give canned goods to the food bank, you're not a terrible person. It's just you're serving your own ego. Just give them money. Trust me. It's way better for everybody. So that's all we got for this week. On that happy note, I will talk to you in 7 days. Look up at Spent Grain Zine on Instagram. You can have your own copy, print it out, read it digitally, share it, do whatever you want with it. It's free. It's open source. Do what you want. I don't care. Pick up some of this nice Rouge River Holy Trinity Hazy IPA. Holy Trinity, that's a tasty beer. But remember, she's a bitter one and opaque AF, as the kids say. But you can grab that at the LCBO and check them out if you're up Markham Way. I'm not going to be in the near future, but next time I am, I might swing by 50 Bullock Drive and see what there is to see. Other than that, have a good week. Take care of yourself. Take care of somebody else as able, as I like to say from time to time. And that's about it, kids. We'll talk at you in 7 days.